Hello, so I'm now going to show you how you can edit this hero section. And okay, so here we are on the front end of your website. We haven't enabled the visual builder, but we are logged into WordPress. So on our browser, we're logged in, which is great. And if we're logged in to WordPress, if we open a new tab like we have here, and we've gone to our website, we will have this bar up the top here, which gives us an information. This means that we are logged in and we're viewing our website, but we're not in the visual builder. So in order to get to the visual builder to start making edits, because currently we can't, when we click on it, we can't edit anything. We click here, enable the visual builder. Now there's another way that we can enable the visual builder. This is one way. And it just takes a little time to load. The other way is to go into the back end of the page. So remember here when we clicked on pages, we clicked on home, and it's gone to this page, not the front page. In order to get to start building the page using the Divi builder, we got to click this button here, build on the front end. And it will take us to the same page. So remember that there's two ways to get into the Divi builder for each page. You can go to the page first and then click to enable the visual builder, or you can go through the back end first. So there you just saw I clicked exit visual builder and it's taken me back to the part where I can't edit it. Okay. But for now, I'm going to keep this one open. I'm going to have two tabs open, this one, and I'm going to go over to the next one. And this is where the Divi builder has been enabled. Now you can see here that as I'm hovering my cursor over different areas, you'll see that some things are popping up here. You'll see there's blue settings here. You can see some green settings here. And you can see these grey settings here. If you did the website and Divi workshop with me, then and how to build your website with Divi and WordPress, then you'll know that the blue ones are sections, the green ones are rows, and the grey ones are modules. And always the sections are the largest. The rows determine the layout, so how many columns it's got. So here we can determine how many columns there are, and there's lots of different ways that we can lay out our website. And then we've got modules, which has the certain functionality that we want to have. For example, do we want a blog? Do we want to put comments in, or a code, have an email opt-in, all those kinds of things. So what we're looking at, what we saw in the template, we can build all of that from scratch by adding a new section, adding in a new row within that section, changing the layout, change the layout to however many columns we want, and then adding in the certain type of module. And we can see what module we have added in if we click settings, module settings, and up the very top it says call to action settings. So this, even though it is a hero section, it is one big section that has a row in it, and within that row we have a call to action which gives us the ability to put a title, a button, and a description, which is a body here. I'm not going to do any of the copy at the moment. I'm just going to do the design. So let's begin. So here we can see that we've got a very big blue background and it's pretty ugly, and it's definitely not our style. We want to have something that is a lot more relevant, especially for a motorbike hero, where we have our red and black colors. So here, in order to change the background color, I can see that it's covering the entire width of this space. And I can see here that the only thing that's covering the entire width is the section. So it's important to be able to diagnose or to figure out where the styles are going to be living. So here, this row, you can see that border. The background is a lot bigger than that. So most likely the background is not going to be attached to this row or this module, which is only that big. So it's most likely going to be here. Here, there's a few different settings here. Here we can move the entire section to another area. That's what that little button does. It just allows us to pick it up and grab. This is the settings, which I'll show you in a moment. That's the main one that we'll be using. I use this one all the time. The next one is duplicate section. So duplicate section, or just duplicate, you've got it for all of these, duplicate row or duplicate module. I use very often because a lot of the time I will use the same thing, okay? So here, if I want to duplicate this, I will just click on it, and if I scroll down, you can see that there's one that is, should be exactly the same. Here it is, just took a little while. Now I've got two of exactly the same sections. Very cool. But I'm going to delete that one. You can see here that I just used that delete button. Yep. And it's lost a little bit of the top of this one here. You'll see this button here, save section to library. Now in Divi we have a library that we can use to save sections if we want to reuse it again. And we have a bunch of these sections are all saved to the library already, so we don't need to do that button. And then here on the end, we've just got a bunch of other settings. We'll go through this a bit later though. For now, we just want to change this background color. So let's click on settings. Here's we can move this thing around. So if it's covering anything, we can just pick it up and move it. Here are our section settings. We can change the content, we can change the design, and then we have an advanced tab, which I don't usually tend to use too often. Here in the background, here in content, the content tab, we want to change the background. So click on here. And here under background, you'll see that we've got a few options. This is just a plain background color, a flat color, not gradient. The next one is a gradient, and if we click on that tab, you can see that this is the exact gradient that we have here on the background, which we'd like to change. Then here, we've got an image, so if we want to add an image to the background, we can click on that. And then here, we can add a video if we want to have a moving background image, which we can totally do as well. But for now, let's just change this gradient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, or click on here, select color, and up is going to pop my colors, my default colors. And you can see here that I've got my color palette here, which I've added in earlier. So I want to add in this cool, this red, because it's a good one, I think. And we'll click on this one as well. And maybe I'll make it this color here. So there we go. That looks alright. You know, I could experiment with different colors like this. I can also, what can I do? I can also switch it. So here I just clicked on this again and then I hovered, and I can switch the sides, so that might work better for me. I can change the gradient. I can change the gradient to radial if I like this one in the center, but I like to change it back to linear. And I can also change the direction. See here? You can see it's now on the top. On the other side. Yeah, I quite like that there though. You know, it goes a bit darker into the corner. Nice. Okay. But what if I want to put an image? How do I put a background image on? So first of all, we need to get a background image. And it makes sense that if my website is about motorbikes, then I would get a image that's related to motorbikes. So let's have a go. So I'm now going to go to my favorite place to get images. I'm going to go to a website called unsplash.com. Now here I can search for whatever I want. So I want to do motorbike, but I also want to do motorbike repairs or motorbike servicing, because that's what my website is about. It's more about teaching people how to fix motorbikes. So now let's have a look and see. There's a few of these. Not sure if any of these really reflect what I'm looking for, but there are some pretty cool motorbikes there. That's a motorbike service. None here that are really standing out to me. What I might do is I'm going to go motorbike. And it doesn't need to be a super what do you call it? Repair-y kind of photo. Oh, that one is very cool. Alright, let's just pick one. I'm going to pick this one. Ooh, maybe I'll pick this one. There we go. I'm going to save that to my computer. And I'm going to call it motorbike hero image. Okay, I'll save it in, got a place that I want to save it. Build a website course, there we go. Now, before I upload it to my website, I want to put it in, I want to compress it. And I want to make the file size smaller, because currently it's a very large file size, and I want to compress it to make it smaller so that it makes my website run faster instead of slowing it down with huge image file sizes. So here, this is tiny PNG. I highly recommend that you go there. We already talked about it a bit, I think in one of the previous videos, but there is also another training on how to do this exactly. So I'm not going to go through exactly how to do it, but you'll be able to see how I do it. So this lift off, membership site. You can see I'm going to where I kept my, things. Here's my motorbike image. I'm going to drag it into there, and you can see that it's compressing. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than other times. Alright, so now you can see it's compressed it by 50%, which is great. We click download it, and I save it into the same space, which is here. And I want to replace the uncompressed one. So now I've got a compressed image, which is a nice smaller file size. And now I'm going to upload it to this background area here. So here you see I've got these other tabs in background. I'm going to click on this image. I'm going to click on add background image. I want to upload a file. So here I've got either media library, which are the images that I already have there, or I can upload a new one. So I'm going to do that now. So select files. And where is it? Here we go. Motorbike image. Open. And you'll notice here that I chose a landscape image. It's very important that you choose a landscape image because that's how people generally look at your website, and that's the size of the page. So you don't want to have a long one, because that's not the portrait one. It's not going to look good. It's not going to fit. So remember, always put in an alt text. We might call it, you want to describe the image. So we'll call it a motorbike in a motorbike with black background. There we go. And then I'm going to go scroll down. Full size. Yes, we want full size. Upload an image. There we go. So now it's very cool, isn't it? We can see here that our image has taken up the whole size of the background, which is what we want. And but we can see that the gradient has been lost. It's like the image is, even though the gradient's there, the image is sitting on top of the gradient. So what I can do here, if we want to see the gradient on top of it, I can click on, scroll down a bit and say place gradient above background image. And I go yes, and now you can see that the gradient is on top of the image. So what we want to do to get a pretty cool effect here is we want to change this color here. We don't want to change the color, we only want to make it transparent so that we can see what's behind it. So here is the transparency slider. I'll slide down. There we go. Till it gets to here. And then here we can make that transparent as well. I mean, you might want to, delete this gradient altogether because, that motorbike looked pretty cool without any gradient behind it because it's got this really great black background which makes our writing pop a lot. So here we go. If we get rid of that altogether. What we can also do, this setting that I like to put it on, is if I click here, this one here, it snaps it to the right and it squishes my page together a little bit more. So here, I might want to change this a bit. Like that. I personally think I might just delete this whole gradient because I think this looks cool, just like that. But a lot of people do like the gradient. Give it a go, see if you like it. Yeah, and have fun with it. I'll move my face over here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And that looks pretty good actually. Now what I do want to change is this text here. And while it actually does look kind of cool as just white on black because the writing stands out quite a lot, it's really important that you make sure that your text is very contrasted to the background. So we would not want to have a dark text color on top of the dark background because it would blend in. And the same would be a light color on a light background that would also blend in and would be really hard to see. And it's really important that websites are accessible, especially for people who are vision impaired, who find it really hard to see. And when it's a bit challenging to see, then it doesn't make your website accessible to those people. And Google it checks all of this stuff. Google checks it. And if it sees that the colors of the text and the background are too similar, they will penalize you for that. And it will, rank not as good on SEO. So now that we've learned a bit about that color contrast, I would like to maybe change the color of this button because what we really want to do is to highlight the pieces of our website that we want our users to see, that we want to attract our users to looking at. Because right now, everyone's just going to be staring at this motorbike going, wow, that's so cool. And they might also be looking at this headline here. We want them to click on this button if we want to keep this button. So the best way to make it stand out is to change the color to something that's really bright. Okay, it's like a highlight color. So let's click on module settings. We want to change this. Module settings. We'll keep all this text here. We're not going to change the copy yet. And I want to edit the button. So in order to edit the button, I want to go to Design tab. The Design tab usually gives us the ability to edit all the different things with the design, and there are usually a lot of different settings in here that we can change. Text changes all of the text, including the heading, including the body, including I think the button. So we can put this in the center like this, on this side, justified, but I'm going to keep it to align left. I can choose either light or dark, but this doesn't really, I don't usually change this because it's like a general setting. So forget about that one there. Text shadow. We can add different shadows to our text, but we'll leave that one. Just leave this text area, only use it for these ones if you want to change the alignment for all of the text. Here we can change the title text. For example, I could put this on it. It also is quite easy to read. Even though it's not the brightest color, it's very contrasting to the background, so I could change that. I think I might keep it to white. I could also, change it to center, but that's only going to be for this, the heading. I can change the size like this, but I don't want to, so I'll put that back. There's a little, if you ever make some changes and you think, oh goodness, I've really screwed this one up, then there's this little undo button here, and it takes it back to the default. But here it was at 48 before, so I'm going to go 48. There we go. We can change the letter spacing like this. See, you can get some cool effects. Title line height, it just gives it a different light, a different spacing. Put that one, put that there. Text shadow, so it stands out a little bit, but you can see it's really hard to see because this black background is black and the shadow has a black color, but we could make it a red color, and you can see here that there's now a shadow behind this text, and you can change it. So I can make it, have a blur more. I can change the verticalness of it. I can change the horizontalness of it. Yeah, you can do a whole lot of stuff here. I might just turn that off. You can just go no shadow at all. Or you can choose to put shadow on it like this. And these are different types of shadows. Like you might like that style. Yeah. But now I'm just going to keep it as none. And that's title text. And you've got all the same things in body text as well to change all of these, but we're not going to go into that now. We're just going to style the button. So here, click on button, use custom styles. I can change the text size if I want to make it bigger. There we go. I can change the text color if I don't want it to be black. I can change the button background color. Maybe I'll change it to red. You can see here there's a big border around here. Button border width. I can change the border color to red. Or if you wanted, you can just get rid of the border altogether like this. But it also makes it much smaller. Okay. But if you did want to have more spacing around that, you don't actually have to add that spacing on the border. You can use it using, add more spacing using padding. Padding, margin and padding, we've talked a bit about before. Oops, excuse me. Just checking on something in my calendar. So here, if I want more space around the learn more and within the button is called padding. So here we've got top and bottom. So here I'm going to add 10 pixels to the top and bottom. And here on the left, I'm going to add 20 pixels to the left and the right. So there we go. We can do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get rid of that. And I want to change it back to where I had it before with the border width being quite large. I believe it was 12. Oh, maybe it was 10. There we go. Now we've also got button border radius. I can make it a bit more curved. You can see I can make it a round button, and that might be how I like my buttons. Also, here you can see the Learn More is black, and with the red background, it doesn't really stand out. It kind of blends in a little bit, so I'm going to change that text color to white. There we go. Nice. Yeah. And if I click on this little green tick here, it's going to take me, gets rid of that settings panel and allows me to see the full website. And there we go. That is my hero section. That's all I'm going to do for this section. I mean, obviously you can add more to it. You can increase the spacing here if you want. If you did want to make this a bit bigger, you know, maybe I wanted to show the full wheel of this motorbike instead of it being cut off, although I don't mind it like that. I could go into settings here, design, spacing, and you can see here that the padding is at 8% and 8%. I love to keep my paddings for most sections at around 100. And here you can see that there's a little button here. What this does is it makes the padding, which is the space on the inside of, so the space on the inside of the section is the padding. So the space between this line here and the line of the row. You might need to play around with it a bit to get an understanding, but this is how it goes. So now I've clicked it and it keeps them even. If you do want to change the spacing on things here, this is another way that you can do it. If you hover over the margin, this is the padding here. It's the space within the section, and the margin is the space outside of the section. So here, now that I've connected them with that little link button, I can make them bigger, and they're both going to increase in size at the same time. I highly recommend that you always click that link button so that they stay the same. Because I think it just looks better when the top and the bottom of the sections and the rows and the modules stay the same. And that is how I have edited this hero section. Okay. Obviously there's a whole lot more things that you can do here in the design. You know, you can add filters to the background image. You can add, you know, borders. I could add a border that goes around the whole thing. That's, you know, this color. You know, that also looks kind of cool. But I'm not going to have that one. Okay. I could do that. It doesn't look too bad. But I'm going to get rid of that border. So there's a border around the whole section there. Or I could put, you know, start editing the row. I might want to put a border around just the row. So here, you've got the content section. It's got 2 columns, 1 column, 2 column. This column has nothing in it. This column has the call to action. The design. Then I can edit the border. You can see here. That's the border of this row. I can change the roundness of the corners. See here, that's a sharp corner of this border. I can drag this and it gets rounded. If you like the look of that, or I can change the color of it like this. I don't think it looks good, but I'm just showing this to you for demonstration on how we can edit the style of things, and we can pretty much edit everything that we want here. I can add a shadow to the entire row by, you know, clicking on this here. I can make the shadow color this bright, this kind of more brighter yellowy color. Looks a bit weird, but now you can see what that looks like. If I wanted to change the spacing of this row, see here we've got padding top and bottom, left and right, and I can keep them the same here. So that if I want some padding up here and down there, I can increase that padding there, and you can see it's increasing, and you can see the background image is increasing as we force the background section to enlarge to make room for this row. But I'll take that back down to nothing, and just so that you can see, you saw that just so that you can see what the difference between padding and margin is. You can see here that padding increased the spacing on the inside of the border. And you can see here left and right, it's increasing the spacing. See the space right here? It's increasing the spacing within the border. And I'll put that back there. Now, the difference between padding and margin is margin is going to add space or decrease space outside of this border. So if I click on top, if I go plus, look, it's pushing the whole thing down because it's increasing this space here. And I'll put that back to nothing. And on the bottom, if we look down, I'm going to increase the bottom margin, which is increasing the space on the bottom border, below the bottom border. And then we can do the same for left and right. So if I increase this, you can see it's pushing it that way. All right, I hope that makes sense. The thing with margin is you can go into the minuses. You can get top here and you can go minus, and it's going to push it up. Although I highly recommend that you don't use margins. Try to avoid margins and focus on using paddings. Okay, I rarely use margins unless I'm trying to do something really specific. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much more, but I might just reset this, reset the designs. Let me go reset row styles. There we go. So I've gotten rid of those, and there we go. Here is our top hero section. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. In the next one, we're going to be going through how to edit this About Us section right here. Okay, take care. I'll see you in the next one.